guys, welcome back to the channel for part 2 of the UniPretty stencil tutorial. I am so sorry it's taken this long. As I mentioned in previous videos, I just was not expecting to be as busy as I was once the season started, but I am finally caught up, and I'm able to start doing some more videos and tutorials for you guys. So today we will be finishing up our UniPretty discs. So in the first video, pretty much what we went over is how to choose the image and then put that into Silhouette to get our trace and cut file, and then also how to convert that file to an SVG so that we were able to cut it with a Cricut cutter. You know, if you just have the Cameo, obviously you can just go straight to cut. But since I have a Cricut cutter, I wanted to show you guys, if you had the same setup, how to convert that file over and cut that out, and then learning how to center the stencil, then apply it and weed it out. In today's video, we're going to go over the hot dip process, and then vinyl removal, as well as the final glue bed that we're going to put it down in. So yeah, let me get set up and we'll go over the materials you're going to need. Okay, so we are going to start off with the materials here and the things I like to use. I think first and foremost, you know, one of these hot plates is phenomenal. You know, I started off doing this with an old pan on the stove, but honestly, you're going to want to get one of these hot plates mainly because you can move it to an area that is a lot less easy to stain. I'm sure your spouse is going to love you for that. You can pick one of these up at you know, Walmart. I think I got one of these for maybe 20-30 bucks at the most, but it is super handy. You know, very easy to clean out. Honestly, it's that non-stick, so you know, I dye and then I just cook some scrambled eggs in there, and then I kill two birds with one stone. You know, breakfast. So don't do that, please don't do that. Oh God. So anyway, after that, you know, I like to have one of these, you know, one of my lids, one of my Frisbees, and I just lay a few paper towels in there. That way when I'm transferring out in between hot dip sessions, you know, I just have that to soak up any extra drip, so I'm not dripping all over the place. So definitely have some paper towels handy. You know, my spoon here for stirring up. Now, I already have mine mixed. So it's been sitting in here a while, and maybe some of you guys do too, but a lot of the dye will settle to the bottom, so I just like to have the spoon to go ahead and stir that up and get all that broken up and mixed in real well before I pour that in here. It's nicer to stir instead of shake because you're not creating a bunch of bubbles. And then in just a second I'll do the ratios, but after that, some clear packing tape. I use that to I make a couple of handles on the bottom of the disc here, and mainly, you know, a lot of my stencils you know, I cut to the diameter of the disc, so you know, I need those handles. A lot of times, or I've seen a lot of people, you know, they just fold that extra vinyl up and they'll use the extra vinyl as handles. That's fine too, but for this particular one, since we've cut it the perimeter, then we're just going to make a couple of handles for that. So that's all the materials. As far as the dye and the mixture, you know, this is just one of those quart containers, and for this I'll probably have at least 2 like full tablespoons of dye in there. I honestly, I don't think you can put too much in there. I've never really tried, I guess, but you know, I would start off with like 2 big tablespoons of dye to a quart and mix that up, and then you can pour that in and see how that looks. All right, I'm probably gonna switch the camera up just a little bit, and then we'll get to hot dipping. While we are waiting for the dye to heat up, I'm just going to show you. So what we're going to do is just make a couple little handles with the tape on there. Now, one thing I want to warn you guys about, now, so you can see on my hand, maybe, let's see if we can zoom in on that. See, I have dye on my hand. I just happened to get that from when I was stirring and and taking the lid off of my dye container. You want to be real careful with that, because what's going to happen is when that disc gets warm and you take it out of the hot dip and you go to rinse it off and you put your hand against that warm disc, it's going to take that dye and you're going to dye the bottom of your disc and have fingerprints all over it. So I'm going to put on some gloves just to try to help ensure I don't get any of that on the back of the disc. It'll also, what will happen is that dye will rip off on the tape and pull the dye off your hand, and it will actually, once it heats up, it will dye into the back of the disc. So I'm just going to take a couple of pieces of tape and just kind of fold them in the middle, so I have a couple of tabs, and then just put it right on the disc on the back there, and now I have these two little handles to grab and pull it in and out of the dye. So our dye is getting pretty close to being the right temperature. So you want it hot enough. Obviously you don't want it to boil. You want it to be very close, and then you're gonna cut your heat down. Now as far as our time goes, what I like to do is I do 2 8-minute sessions. Typically I find that's enough, as long as your dye is the right temperature and you have enough saturation of dye. But so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with 1 8-minute session, see where we're at, make sure we don't have any air bubbles, and then we'll lay it back down again. So what I like to do is just start from one side, and we're just going to lay it in nice and soft. And there we go. We're just going to let that sit for the next 8 minutes. I have my phone timer set. If you notice that you have a bunch of bubbles, that's one of the reasons why I was saying it's nice to just be able to just stir your dye up and not shake it. If you do have a lot of bubbles, a little trick to that is to get one of those little sprayer bottles, like the hairspray, and put some isopropyl in there. And if you miss the top with isopropyl, all those bubbles will disappear. So that's a nice little trick if you are having an issue with a bunch of bubbles on your dye there. Yeah, just get a little thing, a mister of isopropyl, and that will take care of that problem. Okay, our first session timer is up, so I'm just going to grab it nice and easy. I lift one side first, and then you just go straight over here and get all that extra buildup. We're definitely hot enough. I'm actually going to turn that down just a little bit. You can kind of feel how hot it is once you touch the back of this. But I'm going to take a look and kind of see what we got here. Just a little air bubbles, so we're going to throw it down for another session, and we're going to see our results after that. Okay, so the second float just got finished, and what I did is I just went over to the sink and I took a magic eraser and just lightly wiped the disc off. That just helps see it a little better and helps you kind of see your lines. Now if you hold it up to the light here, you can kind of see I still have a few air bubbles through there. So we're going to do another couple of short floats, 3-minute floats. I just don't want it in the heat too long, and see if we can just cover those up. Okay, so we are all done with those 2 extra floats. It depends on the plastic whether or not you're going to have to do those or not. If it's like white star plastic or something like that, typically you're not going to have to worry about that, but other plastics like Champion style plastics or some of the glows might take just a little bit longer, or a couple more floats. Once you get to those extra floats, I just shorten up the time a little bit and keep taking it out to check it. Maybe give it a rinse real quick, and then if you still have bubbles or you don't feel it's dark enough, you can put it back in. So okay, I'm just going to clean up just a little bit to make some room, and we will get started removing our vinyl. One of the things I highly recommend that isn't overly expensive is one of these heat guns. You can get at any local hardware store. They're not, like I said, they're not very expensive, but they make removing the vinyl a lot easier. The adhesive can stick to the disc, and typically when you heat it up with the heat gun, it comes off nice and smooth, and you won't have any of that adhesive stuck to your disc. We're just going to be removing the vinyl where the glue bed background is going to be. Yeah, let's get started. So all I'm going to do first is just go over about 2 inches away. You're not going to hover right over one spot in particular because you don't want to burn or melt the disc. These things can get really hot. So I'm just going to go over it real quick. Just like that, and we'll just start right down here, I guess. You can see it just comes off so much nicer when you heat it up. And then just go nice and slow. If you have to, you can even pull it apart if it gets where like a piece is too wide and you're having trouble pulling it off in certain areas. You can always rip the vinyl, but yeah, we'll just go nice and slow. We'll rip that part so we can just concentrate on this inside section. You can also start pulling. If you're fast about it, you can pull the vinyl off once it comes out of the hot dip, and it's kind of the same effect as using the heat gun, but that eventually is going to cool off. And then the other way, what you can do is if your water out of the faucet gets hot enough, then you can also run that hot water over it. And that can you can use that to heat the vinyl and do it that way. So we just got a couple little pieces that you don't even really notice, like this little guy right here. I just want to double check. I'm pretty sure that is it. I think there's just this one little spot there. So now we have our vinyl removed, and we are going to work on our glue bed now. So as far as the glue bed, we're going to keep it pretty simple here. Nothing too fancy or difficult. As you can see on this one, I just kind of did a dark to light swirl with purples. So we're gonna copy that. I got iris, orchid, pansy, a pink mix, which I believe is neon cerise, and then neon cerise and scarlet mixed, and then a little bit of quick coat worm dip pink, which is extremely light. It doesn't work all that well, but it's nice to get a real light, almost bubblegum pink. But yeah, all we're gonna do is I'm just gonna start from the center and work my way to the outside, kind of like a big spiral. Just kind of overlapping as I go. Getting lighter and lighter. And what we might do is just go back with the iris. A little darker in there. Pink. Alright, and it doesn't really, like I said, we're not going for any pattern in particular because we're going to kind of play with it anyway. Right? It's going to get mixed up here in just a second. So now that I got all my colors in there, I'm just going to take my my skewer, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start from the center and just kind of work my way out and slowly rotate the disc as I go to get this kind of vortex pattern. I'm going to go around probably twice. And we'll get a really cool looking design there. And that kind of blends those colors and gets them in. Now, what I'm going to do is I take my my syringe here, and I'm just going to go through and do the same thing I just did with my skewer, except I'm going to do it with air now. So I'm just going to go around. Okay, and now you can see I got this really cool looking spiral vortex, and we're really just we're ready to set the disc down. You know, it just depends on where you want you know, where you want your pink to be and all that, but I'm just gonna lay it down just like so. Center kind of matches up, and that's it. Welcome back. It is tomorrow. It's today. It's both those things. Most importantly, it is UniPretty reveal day. I have already washed this thing off. You guys have seen me wash off plenty of discs. I didn't feel like we need to go through that. But we are going to get straight into taking off the rest of the vinyl. And once again, I am going to be using a heat gun to do that. Like I said, if you don't have a heat gun, a couple of things you can do just to try to prevent the adhesive from sticking to the disc is, number one, peel very slowly, and number two, if you have really hot water coming out of your faucet, you can also peel the vinyl off running it under that hot water, and that can help. So alright, let's get right to it.
Every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, every day.
Okay, there you go, guys. The conclusion of UniPretty. Or is it? No, actually, if you look at these two discs, you might notice there are a few differences. You know, I went in and hand painted my personal one. And if you would like to know how I did that and also have a chance at winning this UniPretty disc that we just created, head on over to my Patreon account. I will put the link in the description and comments below. You know, that helps me do this and get you guys more content. Thank you guys again. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you out there on the course. Later.